Hello and welcome to the Blue Monday podcast, now in our 5th season, looking into the exciting happenings of Ipswich Town Football Club. I'm Richard Woodward. You are tuned into the flagship show, available every week on video and audio for a sometimes irreverent but always informative hour or more of football conversations. So make your Monday a Blue Monday. And joining me on this week's show, pod stalwart David Diamond and ITFC Academy aficionado Joe Fairs. Dave, welcome back to the pod. How are you?
I'm all right, mate. Yeah, good. Yeah,
had a lovely Sunday by the sound of it.
Yeah, I've had a lovely Sunday. I already did some podding already with Stat. We actually recorded a history pod this morning. All good stuff on there. Some old, some new. Mostly old, I've got to say. But I enjoyed watching the cricket this afternoon as well, because it's an awful day here, so not much to do today. So got away with watching most of that unbelievable T20 game this afternoon.
Of course, I forgot. Since Tuesday, we're now a unofficial T20 pod, aren't we? So was that a win for England? Was it in the T20?
It was incredible. They chased down 223 in 20 overs. Ridiculous. Yeah, it's South Africa, so obviously at altitude, so the ball tends to fly further, and it certainly did, mostly out of the ground.
There you go.
Wasn't that many years ago that 223 would have been a score in a 50-over game? That
it'd have been like half of the course, almost. Yeah, just about.
For anyone who's listening who's not into their cricket, I'm not a big cricket fan, but I'll watch it. I'll do an Alan Partridge kind of shrug at that conversation.
Joe, Craig loves his cricket.
He does. Yeah, me, Seb, and Ben probably. We'll have a golf chat later.
Is coming to the pod.
Exactly right.
Absolutely.
Joe, how are you? We need to remark on your outfit, by the way, in a second.
I've been laid down with flu for like Thursday and Friday, and still struggling with a sore throat. So.
Powering through though. We're glad to have you on the pod.
If I disappear, it's because I've put my cough sensor on while I'm hacking my guts up over here.
Do you want to tell us why you're wearing that beautiful shirt though? That classic 99, 2000 or 2001 shirt.
It's our last promotion shirt, isn't it? So we need to have all the good spirits for the 20-year anniversary of our promotion to get it again. And I commented yesterday how our shape moving between 4-4-2 and 5-3-2 was like a Burley team at its best.
Oh, high praise indeed. And it's got. I'm not going to make you kind of do a 12 for us, Joe, but you got a squadner on the back of it, isn't it? Oh, he's doing it. He's up.
Oh, there it is.
Slightly out of shot.
The best striker of the Burley era.
Yeah.
Oh, that is controversial stuff.
That
is controversial stuff.
I agree with you there. He would have had a hatful yesterday.
I was going to say, yeah, you'd have banked in getting a hat trick out of all the chances that we created yesterday. More on that later. Talking of teams who got chances today, that's a segue for disappointing news from ITFC's women's team, who went out as expected, I guess, to Manchester City, professional team full of internationals, 4 tiers above. I think they're fully professional. They had I think 10 full internationals in the team, and one of them who isn't, I think, is on the verge of greatness anyway. Is likely to be an international before too long. Hat-tricks for Pauline Bremer, a German international, Georgia Stanway, who I think anyone who watched England in the summer knows all about, and Jess Park as well, I think, is the other one who I was mentioning. Who's got?
I think she's the only non-international.
She's 18 now and is expected to get a call up soon, and Laura Coombs with the other one. And Steph Horton played, and Ellen White was on the bench, and Jill Scott was on the bench. So that was a fearsome kind of prospect for the women's team. But Dave, what a great story for them to get that far. They're going to win more games in the FA Cup than whoever ends up lifting the trophy because of where we started in
there you go.
The qualifying rounds.
Great achievement, absolutely brilliant achievement. And there was I did see some. Joe will probably tell me what the average age of our team was today, but I know there's certainly 5 or 6 teenagers in the team. So what a great experience for them. Bit of a double-edged sword. I mean, the draw really, wasn't it? I mean, the draw was, superb draw really. Man City away. Although on the other hand, you hear the comments from the manager saying, well, yeah, brilliant for the girls, great experience on the day, but there were other teams there, perhaps from just a league, or maybe not the Premier League, but a league or 1 or 2 divisions above, which, let's face it, they perhaps would have stood a chance of actually beating. So, but what absolutely unbelievable experience. And yeah, it's really sort of put, it was always on the map, but certainly for me, and I'm sure there's more people like me, have certainly opened my eyes more to Ipswich Town ladies. Yeah,
Joe, clearly something to the kind of run of the cup is kind of, while the men's team are kind of struggling a little bit. So this has been a nice thing to put a bit of pride back into the club. And it sounds like the squads are a lot more integrated with the setup behind the scenes as well, which is good.
Yeah, I know they're really trying to push the ladies' game at the moment at the club, and I was just reading the comments just before I came on, and basically what happened was that Norwich lost a girl at 16, that Jess Park, who actually scored the hat-trick today, moved from Norwich to Bristol City at 16, and Blue Wilson, who was in our team, moved to Man City at 16 and came back, but there wasn't an academy in the region, which was a WSL academy, and so Ipswich have started one of those. It's such a young team. There was 8 teenagers in the starting 11, so it is really, really young. And like I say, the gap is just in women's football. You get these mad results anyway. I think I just looked at Arsenal in a league game in the Premier League, beat Bristol City 11-1 earlier this season. So to lose 10-0, it looks bad on paper, but realistically, this was just it's a totally different level. It's like it's like
League 2 under 18s.
Need a market under 18s.
Okay. Man City, proper. Yeah.
Just on a sort of different matter, say, how do you think we'd have fared if if the actual first team had drawn Man City away and they decided to go for it? Think we'd have avoided double figures?
Well, it's like the Burton Cup tie, wasn't it, last season? Was that 8 or 9? I think
something like that, wasn't it?
Well, I saw in the programme yesterday that the men's under 18 team, so the youth team, played the ladies team on Tuesday or Wednesday to try and give the girls a game at a higher tempo to sort of try and mimic what the tempo was going to be like today. And I'd have been interested to see how that game went. But realistically, with so many under 18s in the girls team, you'd imagine it was a pretty one-way affair, even the men's under 18s against the girls. But great to see, and they're hoping to get up into the Super League in the next couple of years. I just think they're with what non-league teams struggle with at the moment, where it's just one team goes up out of each division. So I think there's two teams pushing at the top of the league. You lose a couple of games and your whole season goes up in smoke because you end up finishing second, even though you're 20 points ahead of third. So it's just hard. They hope to sort of get up this year and get up next year, and then at that point,
Joe, how close are they to the club? For instance, do they train at Playford Road?
I think they do train at Playford Road now. I think that's a new thing. They obviously play down at Felixstowe and Walton. Yeah. And Paul Lambert was up there today. He went to watch the game today, and
they've done some tactical analysis, haven't they? I think.
Yeah,
he really
sits in there and helps them, and they sort of analyse the games together. And I think the manager said that Lambert's been to countless games this year, so I think it's something that he gets along to a lot of their games.
Yeah, one other link I noticed, they were coached by Alan Mahon.
The loan signing that we desperately needed to make permanent at the time, didn't we?
Yeah, great play.
Yeah,
we might have had a different shirt on for our last promotion.
Yeah,
had we signed Alan Mahon.
Yeah, indeed. Well, yeah. So, I mean, congratulations to the women's team on that run to Man City.
Yes,
and hopefully a really big motivation to finish off the season in style by getting promotion that I think they clearly deserve. So, congratulations. It's Joe Sheehan, isn't it? Who's the boss? I think he celebrated his first year in charge actually today. So, good luck to him for the rest of the season, and hopefully a double promotion, gents, to be talking about in the pod in May. One person who won't be around in May by the look of it, Joe, I'll come to you on this one. It's an interesting one. Under 23s coach Chris Hogg is likely to join TWTD. Understand that he's likely to join Newcastle in a similar role. I don't think we've got any confirmation what level it would be at. I just wanted to get your thoughts, on how highly he's rated as a coach generally at the club, and whether the fact that he has to leave to Newcastle to take a similar position suggests that there's limited opportunities to progress at Ipswich. See, Kieran Dyer left in the summer, didn't he, as well? Talk to us about this and kind of what that departure represents.
Well, I know. Well, him and Gerard Nash are joint managers of the under-23s, and I know they're both highly rated inside the club and inside the academy. But Nash has been very close to getting a first-team manager's job over in the League of Ireland. I think twice he's been linked. I think it was St Pat's Athletic. I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Twice he's been linked there. But realistically, they are at the ceiling of where they're going to be at the club. Lambert has just signed a new 5-year deal, so he's got his backroom staff that he's going to keep with him. There isn't room for them to be promoted here, so the best thing they can do is a sideways move or a upwards move to a smaller club, to a more senior role. But it's a good move for them. He's going up to a sort of a bigger Category 1 academy, Category 1 club. He'll be testing himself against sort of European sides. So it's just the next step in his progression. It's a shame we can't do anything with him here. But what can you do? We've already got probably for a League One club, we've got a massive backroom staff as it is, and it's just give somebody else a chance to step up and take a role. So it's sort of best of luck to him. But like I say, there isn't anything here for him, because Like I say, you've got Matt Gill, you've got Stuart Taylor, you've got Paul Lambert. All he's going to do if he goes up is just be another voice and not actually really gain anything from it. Matt Gill was the under-23s manager at Norwich when he came across to Ipswich as a first-team coach. So that is the promotion. So.
Have we ever been good at doing that kind of promoting staff from within? I've never kind of really noticed it before, but
obviously you had Bobby Ferguson, who obviously had very much the poison chalice of taking over from Robson, for goodness sake, and the international players leaving in droves. But aside from that, I tend to think really.
Mogger, he got a coaching role, didn't he, when he retired, and then
they tend to get up. They basically tend to get up to the level where Hogg is at now. So like Nash had been with the younger ages of the academy to the 16s, to the 18s, to the 23s, but there was a real ceiling at that point. And realistically, if the only way they're going to get a first team job here is if the manager goes and it's Luke Chambers and Cole Scusa made joint managers or something like that. And so they come in there, or George Burley comes back, or one of those. It's not going to be someone that is coming externally is going to have them as part of this.
He was really highly thought of as a young player, wasn't he, Hogg? But he never really broke through. Went to He's actually married to George Burley's daughter, isn't he?
He is, yeah. I was just going to say it's the second time.
Really good bloke. I met him on one of the. He was on one of the cycle rides I did, and met him there. Yeah, really good guy.
Yeah, so he's kind of unlucky not to break through as a player because he was highly rated. We signed him from York, did we? I think.
Yeah.
I think he couldn't break through as a player because that was at the time when we had no money, and if he was to make an appearance, we owed York another lump of money if he was to make his first team debut. So
I think Joe's right. I think it's probably round about the time we were either in or coming out, or just about in admin, wasn't it? Round about then, I'm sure.
He was England captain at his age, and was a big signer. I think he was almost would have been sort of best part about $500,000 had he played a few games for the first team. So. So I don't think we could afford to play him, so he had to leave to. I think he went to like Boston and Hibs and Inverness.
Had a decent career, I think, with Hibs, didn't he?
Under Mogger, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Well, good luck to Chris Hogg. That's obviously a good move to him, and we'll keep an eye on there. And obviously Newcastle are nicking all of the great talent behind the scenes at Portman Road. Grant Pringle's obviously there if you know your social media.
Do you think, Joe, again, for his job, though, that would be like someone, I don't know, Adam Ate will move up or someone like that?
Possibly, or whether... Well, at the moment, him and Nash are joint managers, so it might be that you keep Ate in charge of the under-18s and somebody... Somebody mentioned that Dazelle was helping out with the under-18s the other day, so...
Oh, okay.
Don't know whether that is... Terry Butcher's just come in. He's sort of across those age groups.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Grant Williams is there, so there is some old players in there. It's just working out who exactly does what.
Final bit of news, which is disappointing news. Obviously, poor Tristan Nydam is got injured in pre-season. Really serious injury. Is it broken fibula and ruptured ankle ligaments and ligaments, and now needs surgery to kind of clear scar tissue as well, which basically puts him out until possibly pre-season. Dave, we saw him at fullback. Certainly the game Notts County where he got injured, he was playing fullback.
Yeah, I think he'd have had. I think he'd have kicked on and had a decent season.
He would have had a chance, wouldn't he?
I really do. I mean, whether that would have meant maybe not even getting, well, as it turns out, maybe not even getting Luke Garber, you'd have thought it'd have been, it'd have been certainly vying for that left back spot. But it's a nasty one. It's the ligaments. Fibula is a bad one, isn't it? But it's the ligaments that you rupture ankle ligaments, and that's bad. That's where the real complication is. And obviously, scar tissue there, another operation. Yeah, he's certainly not going to play this season. But yeah, he would have been. And such a big injury that, you'd hope he's young enough to, I
was going to say his chances of recovery, I guess, are boosted by the fact that he's quite young, but still, it's a serious layoff, isn't it? It's
it's a bad injury, that one.
Yeah, well, fingers crossed for him and his recovery. Joe, were you going to say something?
Yeah, it's a shame because I really thought he could put a lot of pressure on Miles Kenlock at left back. Because I think he's just such a good footballer. I thought he could kick on there and help us out. And he's another one of those versatile players that can play anywhere that helps. But you sort of look back, we had 5 players from that same year group in the academy that were all England internationals. And you've effectively got the keeper, Hayes, who ended up I think he's at Norwich now, just didn't get a contract. I don't really know what went on there. But then you've got Tristan Nydam, bad loan move, waste a year. Bad injury, lose a year. Ben Morris, bad loan move, waste a year. Bad injury, lose a year. Andre Dazelle, bad injury, lose 2 years, 3 years.
Effectively, yeah.
and then Flynn Downs, who's obviously the one that's kicked on out of all that lot. But you've, like I say, all that talent all in 1 year, and three of them have suffered real bad injuries now. It's just a club this size where if you have 3 internationals in 1 year, it's a massive thing. You're not a City or a Chelsea where they have 10 internationals in each age group.
Yeah, it's a shame that the 3 of those guys that you mentioned, particularly, we've talked about Dizelle quite a lot, but Ben Morris, I think a lot of people were hoping to see a lot of him, and it's just not really happened, has it? So, fingers crossed. We like to see
a few of the first team players want to see Ben Morris get a chance at the moment, but I think I've heard there's a loan lined up to go to Aldershot for a month to try and get some fitness with a view to come back to try and kick on a bit here. But
keep an eye on that one. Yeah, interesting. Let's move up to date. I was trying to find a link into Burton, but I can't. There's no segue there. So let's just go straight to it. Along with Ed Sheeran and his mates from a Japanese rock band, Dave Diamond is in the favoured pod seat to watch Ipswich Town versus Burton. Joe, you were at Wimbledon. The pod was very downbeat, and there was calls for all kinds of changes. I don't know whether there was I think you were advocating a move to a 4-3-3, weren't you? I think Seb talked about a 4-4-2, but we're sticking with this 3-5-2.
I did say if we were to go 3 at the back, I'd prefer to see Earl, Chambers, Wolfenden though. So that is what happened.
Much better balance the look of it for me.
Yes, absolutely right. Let's go through the teams. The 5 changes from that Wimbledon draw. Hurley keeps his place in goal. Earl is the left side of the 3 with Chambers in the middle. Wolfenden, who had been on the left-hand side of the 3 centre-backs with Wilson in the middle, is moved all the way over to the other side, and we'll come back to that.
Having lost a fight with a bottle of bleach.
Yeah, do we know what that was about? Is he making a bid to join the Romanian international team from Euro 94?
World Cup 94, whatever it was. Isn't it, that one?
Good news that Garbutt is back, albeit that always slightly worried with our record of injuries that he's maybe rushed back. Nolan also returns to the team. Guion Edwards returns from suspension. Alan Judge, as I predicted about 10 minutes before kickoff. I put it on the WhatsApp, so that's a prediction. And Keane and Jackson are the front 2. Bishop is fit enough to be on the bench. Andre Dizelle, Joe, not in the squad again. What do we read into that, I guess?
Just out of favour, isn't he? He's just, Lambert obviously rates him below. He always seems to, Downs is obviously ahead of him, Hughes is ahead of him, Nolan's ahead of him, Skuse is ahead of him, Judge is ahead of him. Yeah. Where does he fit?
Yeah, but Dave, you much better balance to that team for you. Happy with the front 2 as well.
Yeah, I'd certainly go with the front 2. I mean, Norwood to me, again, Joe could probably comment far better than I can on this. Seems to be all over the place at the moment, really. Not quite on it or whatever. Again, posting stupid Twitter stuff on the coach and stuff the other day, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Any need really? Probably not. So no, that would have certainly been the front 2 I'd have gone with yesterday.
Let's talk about Burton very quickly. There's not a huge amount of insight here that we can give apart from it was a 4-3-3. Kieran O'Hara in goal, Reece Hutchinson, Conor Shaughnessy, Richard Narty, very Narty, a centre-back with John Brayford on the right. Powell, Stephen Quinn, you can still find him. He is in the central midfield for Burton. Ryan Edwards on the right. Murphy, Akins and Sarkic up front. Of note, John Joe O'Toole, you can still find him as well. He's on the Burton bench. Let's get into it, gents, because it was a strange start for me. I thought Ipswich started with good amount of intent, and there's a chance after 5 minutes here, which I think this is right in front of you, Joe, isn't it? This keen effort that it's a Judge ball through to Jackson, I think, is a cross into the middle, and Keane just can't get his feet sorted out, can he? This to me looked like a good chance. Or is it a good block?
Judge does really well, sort of nicks the ball away to Jackson. Jackson head up straight away, early ball in. Keane, great chance, and rather than sort of just touch hit, it sort of takes a touch to try to set himself to then hit it, and a defender gets in, but he's got to be scoring that, really. It's a really, really good chance.
Does he even really need to touch that? I was thinking, God, surely he's close enough just to take a chance first time at that, just react to it. But
that was my thought.
Yeah, good move, and I think it was or you would refer to that as a miss from point blank range, I'd say.
Yeah, I think so. And punishment for that miss arrives a minute later, Dave. It's Ryan Edwards who wins the ball on the town left, and within one pass, Murphy's completely open, isn't he?
It's good. I mean, initially from that Akins, I've always quite liked him at this level. He's a bit of a unit in, and I thought certainly for the first 15-20 minutes, it was a right handful till we sorted ourselves out. But he's really strong and helps the ball up for Edwards. Our Edwards just gets pulled so far across; he's in no man's land. I think Joe commented right at the start about Murphy being told by Clough to have retain the chalk dust from the touchline on his boots, and he just came in, drifted in from wide. Edwards completely lost him. Quite a good finish actually, because you think Edwards almost his back sort of covering him, and you think, oh, he's going to knock it and try and go outside and use him as a shield, but he sort of hits it early, and Holy's just really flat-footed. It's looks an easy finish. It was quite a clever finish, I thought, and yeah, we were just wide open, weren't we? And not the greatest of starts. What I would say is though, not the greatest of starts, and certainly the error of the Keane's miss and then the goal straight away. The atmosphere didn't. I said maybe summer. I said this could get nasty, but it seemingly didn't, did it?
No, I guess the fact it was so early on.
Yeah.
But a reason I kind of mentioned Wolfenden's positioning just at the start there is because I guess that he should be helping out Edwards on that side, and maybe he's still recalibrating his brain for his position to be over on the right hand side rather than the left, or am I being harsh?
I think he's one of the players that gets done by Akins initially holding the ball up. I think, isn't he? I think he is.
Possibly.
I think Wolfenden, it did take him a little while to get used to playing back on the right hand side, because it wasn't just a case of playing back on the right hand side. It was also a case that, like Dave was just saying, Murphy was staying right out, right far forward, right on the touchline, and when you're in a 3-5-2, it's difficult to know because winger like Edwards is there to try and push on. Wolfenden has to be the one that covers across there, but you can't cover across that quickly. And if he's just got to stay out there on his own, we had to do something about him. But by doing something about him, it meant we'd have needed to change what we were trying to do. So it was a difficult one. You just sort of had to hope that you get the better of them with your spare man that you've got elsewhere.
Yeah, and I think there's a couple of chances here for Burton shortly after that goal. Powell, I think, has, again, similar, quite a lot of freedom. There's an overlap there. He works quite well and takes the shot, and Holy saves this time, and Powell has a long-range shot turned over the bar as well. But suddenly it clicks, and there's a lot of joy for Ipswich getting balls in behind Burton, who were quite flat, weren't they, their back four? And it was quite easy to play through them. This time it's Jackson wins the ball back in, just inside the Burton half, lays it off to Downs, and just immediately threads a lovely ball into Judge, who's away, 1-on-1. Guys, we need Marcus Stewart back as some kind of coach for our 1-on-ones, don't we? Judge does really well, I think, but Dave, does he just hit this one too hard?
Is it too hard?
It's the hard, isn't he?
Are we giving him a break? Does the wind have any effect? Probably not, because he's pretty close in by the time he gets his shot away. But he's got to tuck that in, put it low under the keeper or something. But he just makes probably a bit. Look, it's a bit unlucky. It's the angle, doesn't it? For Christ's sake, but yeah, it almost makes too good a connection, and it just drifts against the angle. But Christ, he's got to score there. So that one, coupled with the Keane miss, you think, it's going to be one of those again.
When you see Judge in the warm-up, he's a really emphatic finisher. When he takes his chances, he hammers them in, and I think it's just one of those ones that if that had gone 6 inches lower, and it's just like he's 1-on-1, bang, top corner, see you later. I said to my dad at the time, it's lucky that hit the bar rather than went over, because had that gone over, that would have been everyone getting on the back. Because it hit the bar, it made it look close. It obviously was close, but I think confidence-wise, that would have sapped it had that one flown over as well. Even if it was 6 inches high and went over, I think that would have just sapped a bit of confidence out of him and the ground.
Yeah, well, Joe, you mentioned that. There's a few minutes later, you're getting a lot of goal attempts down your end, which is quite rare. I've got a mate who sits in the South Ramsey stand, and he claims all the goals are usually their end. It's Garber and Keane who are combining this time, and Keane, it wasn't a good day for him finishing-wise, but assist-wise or passing-wise, key passes, Keane was on it yesterday. He's into Jackson, and he takes the heavy touch, which actually takes him round the keeper O'Hara. He takes another pretty lousy touch, which sets him even further wide. And this one, Joe, is high and wide and very handsome as well. Very unhandsome, I should say, as well. Should he score here, or is this a difficult angle?
Yeah, another one he should score. He should hit it early, but miscontrols it. But after he miscontrols it, it then allows him to beat the keeper. And then when he beats the keeper, it's like he's still panicking about the first miscontrol and he's still rushing it. Where had he slowed down after he went round the keeper, it's an easy finish. But like I say, he should have scored early, and then once he went round the keeper, he should have slowed down. But I think that first touch just threw his sort of thinking all over the place. But like I say, the ball in from Keane was excellent. The ball into him from Garbutt is one where there's sort of plenty of bodies in the way, and he just pings it and takes 4 men out of the game in one pass. Keane's touch is brilliant, turns it round, and it's like that's the sort of football you need to play, breaking the lines, which we've mentioned on previous pods.
Yep, well, it's going to work for us a minute later, Joe. It's Keane again. We've mentioned all three of these. Keane, Jackson combining. Jackson runs in on this. And do you have a good view of this finish from Judge? I want to know whether this is meant or not. It's a strange one, isn't it?
Yeah, well, Keane, again, on the ball, plays a really good ball for Jackson, who runs off his markers, finds the sort of hole between the centre-back and the full-back, gets in. And again, like Jackson has done all season, in fairness to him, I know a lot of people don't think he's the cleverest footballer out there, but when he gets into these wide positions, he's very good at picking out someone, playing the right ball there, and he pulls it back. Judge runs across his marker, and he seems to sort of hit it into the ground, and it loops up. It's hard to tell whether it loops up off the defender's foot or whether it just goes.
I didn't know whether
ground,
it's his standing foot as well, possibly. I've watched it a few times because the
club against his standing foot.
I don't know, maybe, but it's perfect placement, isn't it? Let's be honest.
Yeah, it just loops up and goes in, and he stands there and throws his boot at Lambert.
Yeah, that was a bit odd, wasn't it?
Yeah, apparently Lambert told him not to wear those boots.
Yeah, he was the man of the match. So he was up in the players' lounge yesterday, and he said that he'd had a really bad training session in them, and he'd been getting a load of stick because they're contracted to get a new pair of boots, and he was basically everyone was just taking the piss out of him in training because his finishing was so bad in those boots. So he took it off. But his throw he looks like a right-handed person throwing it left-handed. So
yeah, it wasn't a great throw, was it? No, it's one of them, wasn't it?
You can tell they don't play cricket in Ireland.
I've got no other notes here apart from it suddenly 2-1, Dave, and after what had been a fairly, we mentioned the early start for Keane.
It should have been 3. Probably should have been 3, shouldn't it? Keane, right at the end.
Yeah, well, I'll talk about that one in a second. But let's talk about the goal that puts us in front. It's Thomas Oley again. I assumed that the win was actually against us first half, but maybe it's swirled around. But we talked about Oley getting an assist earlier in the season. I forget which game it was, for a free kick.
Yeah, it's Tranmere. It just absolutely... Yeah, the ball just seems to drift on, doesn't it?
That wasn't into the wind.
Yeah, you'd like to think Keane gets a touch. I'm not sure he does. It's one of those, but it takes the defenders out. And this was a good finish. It was one touch, controlled his right foot.
Yep.
It shows really good composure just to lift it gently over the keeper. Obviously, he's quite brave. So there's a big collision with the keeper that ultimately leads to a keeper having to go off. But that's a really good finish, really composed finish. And all, hats off to him after, his previous poor attempt when he took it around the keeper. Yeah, showed a lot of confidence and deserved at that stage just on chances created.
Yep, and he scored a similar goal at Tranmere away a few weeks ago as well. And yeah, you mentioned that the keeper goes down injured and is substituted. It's Garrett who comes on to make his debut, and you can't think of maybe a more difficult set of circumstances for him.
Didn't realise that. That was his debut. Wow.
And to played 200 odd games for Crewe previously.
Yeah,
so
I don't know.
Not a novice, but
first appearance for Burton. And as you mentioned, Dave, Jackson Keane again combining, and it's Keane who again he can't really get a clean touch on it. It's Garrett and a defender, kind of a combination of the two.
Joe,
keep it out.
Joe would have seen this. Does he try to sort of flick that in cleverly, Joe? What is he trying to do with that?
I think he does get a clean touch on it, but it just gets blocked. Right. So it comes across. And he gets quite. But I think he sort of tries to sort of do one of those sort of like back flicks.
That's right.
Sort of let it go past him and flick it, but it just hits the keeper from close range. So
very good from Jackson again. Picks him out. Very good.
Yep. And that's half time, guys. And as I said, after going behind, and as you said, the atmosphere quite flat, the possibility of nerves creeping in. It was quite a dominant display for the most part of that first half. And the chances, guys. I mean, we talked about clear-cut chances at Wimbledon. There's a few of those, but not enough. Certainly, the previous 3 matches, we were clear-cut chances here. I don't know.
Honestly, I said it yesterday. I think I put it on the WhatsApp yesterday. I can't remember a game where we had so many overall. Ultimately, we get to that and so many clear-cut chances. It was, as the game turned out, another 2 or 3 goals wouldn't have flattered us, and still there'd have been another 2 or 3 good chances that went, allowing for sort of average hit, hits.
Yep. Well, let's go into the second half. Joe's already kind of mentioned it. I don't know at what point there's got this kind of shift to a 4-4-2. I don't know if it's straight after half time or possibly
it was
around,
at half time. We changed it. And again, sort of Judge had said what it was is basically that we knew we needed to win. we were 2-1 up. Their only sort of threat was coming from Murphy on the left-hand side. So we just changed it up to 4-4-2 so that we could effectively stop their only threat. And if it finished 2-1, then we were happy enough with that. It wasn't a case to try and win the game that way. It was just that if we went that way, we knew they wouldn't create anything. So we'd win the game.
It's Judge who ends up on the right-hand side. Otherwise, it's fairly orthodox positions, isn't it? Garbo over to the left-hand side, Earl behind him, left back. Jackson and Keane still up front. And Keane is down the right-hand side straight after kickoff, pretty much. It's 48th minute here. This is... I'm looking at this thinking Keane is going to do a floaty cross that's going to be useless to anyone. And it turns out to be the case, because when Jackson gets into the position, we talked about it twice, Jackson will play a precise, firmly struck cross that someone can direct on target. Here it's kind of Jackson has to do all the work, and actually he goes behind him and he can't really get onto it. This time, if 3 minutes later the roles are reversed, and this time Jackson does play in the ball to Keane, but he's blocked quite swiftly. But Joe, 52nd minute, 1 minute later after that, Alan Judge, now on the right hand side of midfield, nips in, does really well here, doesn't he? And he's in.
Yeah, I think it's Edwards that plays the ball up the line, and the defender sort of takes a touch, but Judge nicks the ball off him, nicks it through his legs, takes a touch, looks up, and you can see Jackson is in acres of space in the middle, so it's just a case of trying to pick him out. Judge whips a really good ball in, but Jackson adjusts so well to it. It's one that it's a really awkward height. It ends up slightly behind him. You've got to remember this was a really windy day, so sort of the timing of the run was very difficult in that. And he manages to sort of stoop down sort of behind himself and sort of flick it back, give the keeper absolutely no chance. I'd say really good goal, and I'd say just 2 players involved. Judge sharp as anything, spots the early ball, and I think that's what we've been missing in previous games, that someone willing to take a risk with an early pass as opposed to pass, let the defence get back, let them get set up, let them all get their bodies in position. And I say it's just a good goal, that one. A great counter.
Yeah, absolutely right.
Outstanding ball from Judge, and a really good finish.
Yeah, it's a really tough one, and Jackson
awkwardness of the
it does well to stoop, doesn't he? Dave, I haven't mentioned this guy's name yet in action, but Nolan starts this move, plays it into Keane, and Keane, this is a 4-1. This is a great move again, almost.
It's brilliant from Keane. He's so good at receiving. He's very, very good. He's got that touch and turn movement, and again he did it here. So he's really good at I call it accepting the ball, very comfortable. So he sort of accepts the ball, gets it out of his feet, gets his head out. Love superb weighted ball for Jackson. And Jackson, unlike his chance in the first half when he tries to perhaps take it wider on his right foot, that actually tries to cut back inside, gets closed down. Good support from Judge, pretty decent hit. Keeps a little bit unlucky. He gets quite a bit on it, but you can see it. Yeah, I could see on a really good view of that. You said yourself, Rich, it was clearly over. No need for any VAR decision there. And the comedy moment that follows was the goalkeeper having to be removed from the back of the net by the referee, which seemed about a minute, but I'm sure it was only a few seconds. But that was quite comedy.
Yeah, none of his teammates helped him out there, did he? Was that a foul on Jackson? I thought that was a good shout for a penalty there if Judge doesn't score.
Possibly, don't know. I thought they sort of made a half decent challenge. As I say, he tries to turn back inside, but good support from Judge. 4-1, and not. I say didn't really flatter us at the time, did it?
71 minutes. There's a double change here. Scouse comes on for Nolan. I guess that's in a similar vein to the comments that you got from Alan Judge, Joe, about maybe shutting up shop a little bit.
I think that's an attacking sub, isn't it?
You think?
Nolan away.
Well, hold that thought. We've got a good question
Nolan
on.
pass this ball about.
It wasn't really a good one for Nolan. He didn't really get involved in a huge amount. I guess he was. He was there or thereabouts, but not really contributing much in an attacking sense. But Keane, a good spell from him. Probably should have scored, with some good contributions to the goals. And Bishop, it is who comes on. And Joe, this is a really good chance, isn't it? This immediately he's kind of played in by Earl, and he's playing up front. He's a light for light kind of change, really. Though I suspect probably I wasn't keeping an eye on him. He kind of drops back behind Jackson for the remainder of the game, but it's a lovely shot from Bishop, curling shot which is pushed wide of the post. That was a nice chance, wasn't it?
It was right behind that. It was a good save. Just before that, he did it twice. Just before
seconds are coming on, hadn't he?
He drops his shoulder and just drifts between two players, and you think, oh yeah, here we go. And then that'd have been so great for him to if that one had gone. And it's actually a very good save because he hit that well.
I think it showed how the role that Keane was playing as well, because I think people would say we were playing 4-4-2, but the reality was Keane was really dropping in deep and playing between the lines, and Garbutt and Judge were pushing on, and they were switching sides as well for periods of the game. It really was a sort of fluid, like I say, you could say 4-2-3-1, 4-4-1-1, but it wasn't the flat 4-4-2 that we played early in the season with Jackson and Norwood both on the shoulder. Keane was really dropping in, sort of in that early 90s Eric Cantona /
Teddy Sheringham. There we go.
He's good enough to do that. He's an intelligent footballer with a really, really good touch.
Yep. I've got to mention Earl. I like Earl. I remarked on him at Sunderland. I thought he was quite tidy, and even though he only played for sort of 10 minutes, there's a good block here from Akins, which is probably the only real sight that Burton nearly had in the second half. Can I get someone's take on Josh Earl? Do we think he's going to probably make that sort of left centre back position his own now?
Yeah, but I think potentially we just, like I said, I thought we had a lot just a nice balance to the side with a natural left footer over there, and he looks, for a big lad, he looks really quite accomplished on the ball. So I think that could be a useful use of the loan window.
Yep,
it's funny that on Tuesday played left wing back, and it really showed his limitations up on the ball. But then you put him at left centre back and left back, and it's like, actually he is decent on the ball there, but he had looked limited on the ball there previously. It just shows how being a few yards further up the pitch really makes a big difference. But I really like the balance it gave us, helped us make the pitch big, because in the previous game Wolfenden had been drifting in, and it just, I don't know, you need to have your players playing on the right side, don't you?
Yeah, you do. And Garbutt looked good with Garbutt pushed further up as well, didn't it?
Yep. There's a couple more bits and pieces just to finish this one off. Judge again. Judge finds Jackson behind Burton's defence once again, and again a one-on-one chance is squandered. It's a good low save, I guess, by the keeper here, but maybe I think Jackson's going near post when he probably should go far. 82nd minute, Judge is subbed for Freddie Sears, and again we have another situation here where Freddie Sears is I haven't mentioned the Keane's kind of missed opportunity. He kind of spins and knocks a shot wide Keane when really he should set up Jackson for the hat-trick. Well, this is even worse really from Sears, who clearly has got in his mind, when he came on, I said to my mate, it'd be great if Freddie Sears got a goal to kind of boost his confidence a little bit, and possibly here he does well to intercept the ball in Burton's half, breaks forward into the box, but he's just too close to the keeper and really should pull it back for Jackson. He's got an empty net, but he takes the shot, guys, and nothing doing there. But that's all the action I've got, and frankly that could have been any scoreline really. That could have been a 6 or a 7. Goodness, 16 shots, 8 on target, 1 off the woodwork, 5 big chances, 4 of which missed according to my stats, 14 shots inside the opposition penalty area. Jackson, Judge with 2 goals and an assist each. I'm looking, Joe, is someone who was talking about the Wimbledon game midweek, and we were right to criticise that performance. Where does a performance like this come from? Is this the kind of performances that we've seen in League One where the opposition just have a really bad off day, similar to the Atkinson game, and whatever we did, we were going to score, or has something clicked and are we just going for it now, Joe?
I don't like whenever you win a game and it's seen as the opposition, they've played poorly. I think it sort of does you a disservice because they've played poorly because you've forced them into it most of the time. They're not just turning up and having a total off day. They're trying to win the game, and we're just asking them too many questions they can't deal with. But like I say, I think the issue we had against Wimbledon, which sort of we went over at length in the pod, was effectively that every player playing on that team played the role you expected them to play, and they played their natural game. Today, the same thing happened, but you've got Edwards and Garbutt as your wing backs or your wingers, and their natural game is to push forward. You've got Alan Judge in the midfield three. His natural game is to try and support the strikers. You've got Keane. His natural game is to try and drop off and play, and he's dropping off and he's got runners around him. So it really was the personnel. And I know Lambert's had criticism for changing systems too much, but as Craig mentioned on Tuesday, we were playing wing backs when we were effectively playing our third choice wing backs, because you've got no Vincent Young, no Edwards, so you've got Danashi. You had no Garbutt, no Kenlock, so you're playing Earl. And it's a case, you have to play to your players' strengths. You have to set the team up to win the game, and I think we did set the team up to win the game yesterday. I liked Stuart Taylor's pre-match interview where he's decided we're going to attack teams to win games. We're going to stop conceding goals, and we're going to shut up shop to stop counter-attacks. That's like, why didn't they think of those 3 brilliant tactics at the start of the season? Shit.
Dave, have you seen a more complete performance by Ipswich this season compared to that one? That was, we talked about the 45 minutes performances, but that was almost kind of 80 odd minutes.
I suppose, overall, I mean, Lambert said that, didn't he? I guess overall. And I totally get what Joe said. Yeah, you're forcing teams into mistakes, by your football and stuff. But they were very flat, very, very flat at the back, I thought. But no, good, really good performance. And let's face it, I think we'll probably get, although they've gone off the boil slightly, a bigger test next week, probably at home to Oxford. But a good performance, 4 goals. Last time out they shipped 4. Last time out Portman Road they shipped 4 against Peterborough. So
Yep.
All positive.
Well, that's
the big positives as well, that we went 1-0 down, which is, we haven't got a good home record. We've got a big crowd in there because it was a ticket thing. The crowd was edgy before the game, and I don't think the crowd turned, which is good. And we sort of managed to turn that game round and showed the mentality needed, where I think a lot of fans, maybe, and I'd probably include myself in that, think maybe the mentality isn't quite there, that as soon as we concede a goal, we seem to heads drop and we struggle to get back into the game. So I think I sent it on the WhatsApp. Lambert looked up for it on the sideline again. I know it's sort of becoming a little bit of a thing for me at the moment, but you see him and he's on it, and he's on the players, and the players need to be told. They need to be coached for the game. McCarthy always did it to them, and you need to do that. And I think it was especially good that we had the personnel that we could switch between the 3-5-2 and the 4-4-2 or whatever you wanted to call it as, because you've got a Luke Garbutt who can play left wing back, who can play left midfield, almost like Jamie Clapham used to do for us, that he could just flit around in different positions and affect the game, be able to play the roles properly, have the right tactical discipline and positional discipline. And sort of Jermaine Wright used to be the one that used to be on the other side, and Alan Judge was the one that this time he maybe doesn't quite have the positional discipline, but really did work hard at that yesterday.
Dave, you mentioned it, and the 4 goals scored there. I'll repeat a stat from the Renegade stat man. That's our third 4-1 victory in a season. The only other occasion where we managed that apparently was the 1956 to 57 season, where Town went up as champions from the 3rd tier. So make of that
only stat. But as I said to Stat this morning, 3 games at 4-1. How close to the mythical 4-2 for Stat, and coining it in.
Oh. Does he still put that on every week, or is?
Yeah, I'm sure he does. Yeah.
We'll be able to hear from him, and I keep getting people saying when's Stat coming back. So hello to David who asked me about that in the pub yesterday. So there's this week. We'll come back. We'll do plugs at the end. Let's do questions. Another David here, Joe. Let's hear from Dave. Dave Pascoe asking Dave Diamond. Job done. But every game
David,
goes...
can I have a day off today? That's not me in
bed.
Not
me, that's job done today. But every game that goes by with us sitting in 7th place just shows how much we've cocked things up over the last few weeks. We're going to keep winning, and that will include having to beat Coventry and Portsmouth. But it's a difficult game next week against Oxford. Is it more of the same? Do you think Oxford not in good form?
Yeah, well, they let 2 of their best players go to Brentford, was it?
Yeah,
they went to Brentford, didn't they? On in the deadline. So yeah, they've obviously gone off the boil slightly. So yeah, hopefully more of the same. Be nice to beat. I know they're not quite. I don't think they're in the top 8. So we should be winning then.
To his point, that kind of performance yesterday or on Saturday shows us what we really should be doing and the heights we should be. The fact we're 7th.
Can only give you confidence, and as Joe said, I think perhaps that gives us a shape, a much better shape to the side, and hopefully in touchwood, hopefully injuries permitting this week, I'd have no qualms. You'd think you'd put out the same side. Yep. It did look really, really well balanced.
Yep. Mullet asks Joe, I don't want to throw you under the bus, but there was your kind of AOB on the Tuesday's pod. I'll direct this question to you. Has Lambert provided the perfect answer to his critics, or vindicated them with a performance which shows what we should have done far more of this season? Similar flavour to David's previous question.
Yeah, I think he's probably I think when you see a performance like that and when you see a setup like that, it does make you sort of consider that he hasn't set the team up as well as he should have done too many times this season. Obviously, there's been reasons for that with injuries, but this still needed to have been better than it has been. But like I say, you look at the league table, it still doesn't look good for us, does it? We're 7th. Everyone's got games in hand on us. Even Fleetwood are 1 point below us with 2 games in hand. So you could almost say we're effectively 8th, couldn't you? So it's a long way to go, and we're going to have to win our home games to get there. And we've got an easy run in on paper. In reality, every other team in that top 6 would take our run in, and if we don't get in the playoffs at least from here, then we don't deserve to be anywhere near promotion.
Yeah. No, exactly right. Justin asks, can the pod confirm if rumours of Lambert trolling the whole supporter base are true? You kind of feel like performances like that are. Dave, Arthur Pickthorne asks, did we see today just how good Garbett is? Such a consistently good performer with excellent end product. He's not massively influential for the goal, but he certainly, as Joe mentioned, we seem to miss something when he's not in the team, don't we?
Yeah, doing it's just Joe. Man, when he passes the ball with purpose, doesn't he? Like we mentioned the move where he fizzes the ball into Keane and stuff like that. Yeah, we've missed that. We have missed that. His quality. He's just missed his overall his quality on the ball. So yeah, when he comes back, he's bound to make a difference. To this side. Yeah.
FPL Tractor Joe, is Judge a flat track bully? Or have personal issues, rotation, played out of position meant we should now expect more of today's brilliance? It was a good performance from Judge, wasn't it?
Yep, and whatever the reasons are, I don't know, but I do expect more of that from Judge for the rest of the season. I know he's not always played in his favoured position and he's sort of played elsewhere, but he's got to be winning games for us over the coming 3 months because he's got the ability to.
Confidence, isn't it? Confidence thing. Yeah,
and if he isn't winning us games, get Teddy Bishop in there because he'll win.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. If he doesn't get confidence from yesterday's performance, then he never will.
Yep. Well, Blue Soap was an admirer of Judge's performance as well. Mike asks us, Dave, you're a big supporter and advocate of Freddie Sears. He says Freddie Sears' triumph and return from injury was somewhat of a damp squib.
Yeah.
Are we seeing the end of his Ipswich Town career, or can he get himself back to be a regular starter?
You'd think he can get himself, but you'd like to think he can get himself back. But again, at his age, it's not a great. We spoke about Tristan Nineham coming back from injuries like that. An ACL at his age, what he's been out for virtually a year to the day, wasn't it? Pretty much, maybe round about when we played Norwich February. It's a long time out for someone of his age now, and he's Joe 30 now, is he?
Yeah, it must be about there. I'm not sure, but
it's so
he got another year's contract though, didn't he?
He looks like he's carrying a bit. To me, he looks a bit chunky. I might be wrong, but again, you can't blame the one he missed yesterday, which he perhaps should have pulled back for Jackson. You hit the nail on the head. Well, it would have been great to see Freddie Sears score. What a boost for his confidence. So can't blame him having a dig there, really. No. But no, you'd like to think, certainly at that level, he'd come back with the same quality as he had before. Because don't forget, last season he had in the disastrous season he had 6 or 7 goals before he got the injury. And I think we've said on the pod before, chances are had he stayed fit, he'd have probably ended the season in a really, really poor season and probably hit 10, 12 goals.
Yeah,
but also the chance he missed where he should have scored, but we all know why he's had a shot. It was him that won the ball there. He's pressed them. He's got about their defender. He's won the ball. He showed pace, strength, got the ball off him, and that was positive to see that. And so I know when he was injured, he had his contract extended, didn't he? So he's got at least another year on top of that. So we just kind of take it slowly, like we have done with all the other players that have been injured. And that is one thing that has happened with the injuries this year, that we don't seem to have had so many breaking down, do we? They've come back slower, but we haven't had the breakdowns.
No, Garbett surprised me how he came back.
Full 90, wasn't it?
No adverse reaction from yesterday, touchwood, because somehow when he went off, that looked a nasty one. Sort of torn, well, you could say like torn thigh muscle or whatever it was. Obviously, it wasn't a fully blown tear, you'd think. But so that was that was gratifying, and he obviously got through the full 90 as well, which is good.
Jack Barham, Joe, do you think the difference between us and the teams near us, except for Sunderland, is that they've stuck with the same manager and built on their squad? Do you think that's why Lambert's got the 5 year? Is there anything to be said for that consistency and the slow build plan that I guess Leo Neal is kind of advocating?
Generally, consistency is earned, though, isn't it? The manager stays because he's progressing the club forwards, and that's why they're continuing to do well. Like Gareth Ainsworth at Wycombe, for example, he's earned the right to build the squad in his image. Where, like Jack Ross at Sunderland last year, maybe Paul Lambert hasn't quite earned that right yet. He seems to be being given the right, but he needs to keep pushing on, because ultimately, if we don't get in the top 6 this year, or if we lose in the playoffs, if come November we're sitting 8th, 9th, 10th in the league, there's going to be huge pressure on him. People aren't just going to say, "Oh, well, he's still trying to build his team." You've got to do it both sides. You can't just rely on the background. You've got to get the pitch right.
To his other angle on the question as well, thoughts on the likes of Wickham and Peterborough. They've Rotherham as well. They've had their managers for quite some time. Is there something to be said for that? Is that a factor?
Continuity. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I think it's a little bit chicken and egg, though, isn't it? That the managers are doing well, and they're staying in a job for a long time because they've done well previously. So they're proving themselves to be good men. You couldn't just put somebody in charge for 5 years, and at the end of the 5 years, the team's not just going to be going forward just because they've been there. But if somebody has been there 5 years, it's because they've proven that they can do the job well. So it's hard to break it down.
Earn it. Matt Macon, does Rich feel sheepish as I do about score predictions in the ground? I said 0-0, guys, by the way. So there you go. That's how I was feeling pre-match. But also asks Dave, do you see the team kicking on from this performance or stuttering again? We've got Oxford, Blackpool, both teams out of form. Admittedly, Blackpool might get the new manager boost, and then Coventry start of March. That's going to be tough.
As I said, go. Injuries permitting. Hopefully, God forbid, in training this week, go with the same team and kick on. You've got to gain confidence from the performance. From yesterday's performance. So kick on from there.
Let me ask you this one as well. I mentioned this previously. Jason, unbelievable show as always. Thank you, Jason, in advance for that. Does Nolan play the way you're facing to a new level, Dave?
Yeah, someone said about that yesterday, and about Skews coming on and said like for like, and I think someone then posted. I'm not sure Nolan's as quite as adventurous as Cole Skews, is he? I don't think on the ball. He's very safe, isn't he, Nolan? He's got a nice little touch where he gives it the eyes and sort of plays the ball sort of 5 yards square and stuff like that. Yeah, he's an incredibly safe player. You'd expect I know there is. He's got a lot more to offer than perhaps what he does really. But look, he was. As Alex Maffey would say, he was steady away yesterday. I suppose he was fine, but not that progressive, was he?
No.
One of the issues he's had is he's been safe, but when he's been sort of being the midfielder that's expected to push on, so you've played like Scouse, Downs, and Nolan, expecting Nolan to be the one that drives forward, and he ends up landing on the ball in sort of big areas and not doing anything with it. So, but sitting in a deeper role, is he actually going to be a longer term Scouse replacement? Is that
potentially could play that? But he's got it in his, as you say, that cliche. He's got it in his locker, hasn't he? You remember some of the goals he scored at Derby at home last year. He's bursting through onto the ball, a header against West Brom. I remember last year. He's got it, hasn't he? You could see it, 2-footed. He's great build. For a midfield player, good build and stuff, but. Yeah, he's very, very frustrating.
I think Justin or someone on Twitter posted the goal he scored in the playoffs for Shrewsbury last year, and haven't seen a huge amount of that. Charlton, sorry, haven't seen a huge amount of that, have we?
No.
Plenty of games to play, though.
Technically, very good, but I think he's got a lot more to offer.
We've alluded to this already. Ginger Eagle asks, doesn't want to be negative after win, but still worrying that when we're missing these clear-cut chances, Joe, and he's not putting games to bed. I guess we won 4-1, didn't we? So Burton didn't come back into it. But is it something to worry about, or could we now see a little bit of people starting to fill their boots?
I wouldn't worry about anything yesterday. I think my issue was that we weren't creating clear-cut chances. We're being told, we're missing these good chances. I'm thinking, we're not missing good chances. We're missing half chances. We're missing Norwood's hitting the bar with a volley from a corner, and he's getting in one-on-one, but never really having the ball under control. We're not creating good chances. But yesterday, like I say, we created 7 or 8 real good chances, and we scored 4 of them.
Yep. Ian H asks, Jackson and Keane starting every game now? Looking both of you, yes or no on that one?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Horses for courses in a way that in some of those games where you probably need a little bit more physicality up front, I think Keane sometimes doesn't get involved enough in those games, so maybe Norwood you need for some of those. But
is Norwood an away player? Just a question there.
Possibly.
Maybe. Yeah.
For how good Keane was yesterday and for how good he can be, there are a lot of games where he comes off after an hour and you think, I barely notice he's played.
Yeah, it's something with Norwood yesterday. Someone posted, I didn't really get there early enough, or saying perhaps he really didn't see, well, even didn't really notice him warming up much or doing much at half time or anything like that. So whether there's been and he did get slightly, it wasn't quite a Hurst Exeter call out, was it, after the Wimbledon game? But he did get called out after the Wimbledon game. So maybe that's a little bit of a kick he needs.
Yep.
I can't imagine he's one of those players that's particularly good when he's not playing.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, exactly right.
No.
Let's a couple more. Dr. Earman, I assume that is an alias. It's an interesting one. Had the players become too complacent in recent times due to Lambert constantly bigging them up in the media and telling us all how good a position we're in? Only now that the pressure is really on, do they perform like we know they can? Coincidence? Dave, any thoughts on whether we've believed our own hype? It's something I've
I think we certainly
before.
did. Yeah, for sure. Definitely did.
Complacent as well?
Sorry, yeah, to a degree, I think. To a degree. People were saying that we've got, the best quality squad in the league. I think we've got probably one of the biggest, perhaps most experienced squad in the league. But yeah, is there quality? Is the real quality really there? Well, it showed yesterday, but yeah, they just got to carry that through. Complacency. I don't know really. I don't think it was complacency really. I just think perhaps it was a little bit overhyped.
Yep. That's it for the questions. Thank you everyone for those. Some really good ones there, and apologies if I didn't read yours out. Always appreciate those to stimulate conversation, which we've definitely done. Let's do the roundup. I'll try and pick out the games that matter at the business end of the table. But Bolton 0, Wycombe 2. But we need to talk about poor Toto in this one, don't we, guys? Who wants to explain this?
It was a
goal?
comedy one, wasn't it? So the sort of ball. I've seen it. I should have watched it again. Actually, I don't know if it was a corner or whatever, but the ball sort of gets played in, and it's going towards the line, and he does quite well. He gets there, doesn't he? Sort of hooks it back, and it's a comedy. Then it hits him on the head and just goes in. But the other guy and what I didn't realise till I saw someone post this, that the other player who was attendant on the line at the time was one Josh Emmanuel. Wasn't it,
wow!
apparently?
It's just a reunion on the line.
It was a Larson Toure corner-esque moment. It really was. It was one of that'll be in the football gaps, definitely.
I'm not sure how well Toto started up there, but I read after one game that they lost 6-0. He sounded like he hadn't started that well, and he's just totally lost confidence, hasn't he? It's a real shame for the guy.
Yeah. Well, and you've talked about the kind of mitigating circumstances around his pre-season, Joe, and how things might have been different. So hopefully,
Yeah, our only muscle injury of the season, that isn't it? And it's cost him his career almost, isn't it?
Yeah, good.
That's Joe, you're right,
yeah. Fleetwood are kind of on a bit of a charge at the moment, and Peterborough, who everyone were... I was about to swear then. Everyone was going all crazy about how good you're on mute, Joe, don't worry. I don't know if you were going to swear for me, but Peterborough have lost at Fleetwood. That's the short of it. Fleetwood now just behind us, actually. Joe's mentioned the games in hand, but Peterborough, are they spiky, or is this just a one-off because Fleetwood are actually half decent?
Tony suspended yesterday, wasn't he?
No, missed a penalty.
Yeah, missed a pen. So they're in it, but... Yeah, Fleetwood going really well. Really good winning goal. Yeah, from the wide play, hammered it in. Yeah, 2 games in hand. 2 games in hand on us. I think if they win, 2 games in hand on us. 2 games. I've got it here. 2 games on Wycombe. 3 games in hand on Peterborough, for Christ's sake. So yeah, they're a factor. Fleetwood.
Still plenty of shake-up.
That Lewis Gibson.
Next weekend though, Portsmouth at home.
Yeah, big game. That Lewis Gibson signed. For them, who was linked with us in 4 games, 4 wins since he signed there. Don't know. I haven't seen him to know how much he's had to do with that, but still a good record for the young kid.
Yep.
Who was that, Joe?
That Lewis Gibson,
Everton.
We were linked with, but we ended up with Earl instead.
Yep. Yeah. Oxford 0, Sunderland 1. We'll talk about Oxford briefly in a minute. But Sunderland on a great run of form. It sounded like Carl Robinson was a little bit miffed that Oxford didn't get something out of that, but Sunderland doing very well at the moment. Portsmouth also 2-0 winners yesterday, going well as well. But Rotherham, who everyone thought were untouchable, and Wimbledon guys are no mugs, to borrow Mick McCarthy phrase there. But that was a last minute penalty that got Wimbledon a point away at Rotherham. That's a decent result for them.
They led for a long chunk of the game as well, though.
Yeah, A bit unfortunate there for them, but it just shows how nothing is set yet. It's still early days. We're still in February. One team who are going great guns though, and as much as it was kind of fun bravado and banter at the start of the season about how I was a secret Coventry fan, I'm now slightly worried that Coventry are going to beat us to promotion. 2-0 winners, obviously, an easy trip to Southend, but Coventry, yeah, they're looking good,
really.
aren't they?
Unbelievable.
Given
really.
all the off-field stuff.
Yeah, their situation off-field is,
only lost 3 games all season, haven't they?
Fantastic.
Yeah, and a few games.
They look really good. When I saw them here, look. I know it was a horrible night, but in the cup, they look really, really good.
Yeah,
I wonder if the issue comes if they get into the playoffs, their home leg, they really lose any home advantage, don't they? In the playoff tie.
Yeah. Well, all of their strikers are scoring goals as well. I think it's Godden and Biama involved in there. But yeah, Coventry are now joint top. They're second only on goal difference from Rotherham. So both on 57. Coventry have a game on Rotherham.
Only played 30 games.
Wickham in third, who have played 2 games more than Cov and 1 more game than Rotherham. They have 56. Peterborough. I need to figure out a way to do the configuration so I can mention the games. Let's do the Rotherham first. 31 games played, 57 points. Coventry second, 30 games played, 57 points. Wickham in third, 32 played, 56 points. Peterborough in fourth, 33 games played, so 1 more than us actually, 55 points. Sunderland now well into 5th position. They've played 31 games, have 54 points, won 3 on the bounce. Portsmouth are the team in 6th with 30 matches played, 53 points. Ipswich just outside, 1 point outside on 7th. We've played 32 games, and Fleetwood, as we've said, 2 games on us in 8th on 51s, 4 wins in a row for Fleetwood.
And also, pretty much goal difference is quite interesting here. There's 1 goal, so we're 14. Number 2, we're 14. Portsmouth 15. Sunderland 16. Peterborough and Rotherham are away, 24 and 26. But yeah, interesting.
Tight.
And Donny aren't necessarily out of it, although you suspect probably there's just too many games in hand for the teams
I'd go looking at it. What I've got here, I'd go down to 8 Fleetwood with the 2 games in hand. You'd think that would be about it, really. But with our aside from that, we've got Coventry and Peterborough. I mean, Joe said this before. Still a fair few games to go, and a lot of these teams, such as Fleetwood, Pompey, they're going to be taking points off each other, aren't they?
Yeah. Just to confirm, then it's Coventry that we need to play at home, and Portsmouth we need to play at home, and Fleetwood we need to play at home. So, hopefully we get a home advantage sorted out and start beating teams in the top 6.
This is what's going to get, if it does. This is what's going to get Portsmouth. I mean, their home records, I think. 23 games unbeaten now at home. Only lost to, I think, Southampton in the Carabao Cup. I think I can't remember which, but their home records off the charts.
Ellis Harrison playing well for them at the moment.
Yeah, he scored yesterday, didn't he? Yeah.
Let's talk about Oxford, who are well at Oxford 11th. 30 games played though, so they have a couple of them, but they're on 45 points, so they're now in 11th. They are the opposition next week at Portman Road, 2 games in a row at home. We mentioned Fosu and Baptiste, who joined Brentford in the window. That was 8 goals that Fosu had. I think he might have been their top scorer or the second top scorer at the time. 1 win in 2020 by my calculations. The cup run
it wasn't that many weeks ago that I was expecting Oxford to be Oxford +1. It looked like the way they were playing.
They were flying up there. Goals.
Everyone has their moment, don't they?
I think they had 9 games in February.
And then the cup run they played. Was it 2 games against Newcastle? The replay against Newcastle as well. That kind of helped.
Where the guy got his knob out to swing it around.
Helicoptering. But their away form is okay. They're 4 wins and 6 draws on the road. That's the 7th in the away league. I said Carl Robinson thought they were good enough for something more than a 1-0 defeat to Sunderland. But this is the kind of game, again, let's ignore the fact they're 11th now. A team that was up there for a bit, but we just need to follow up the Burton result, Dave, with another victory, don't we?
Yeah,
no excuses.
No, we do. No, and against the side that has been up there as well, as Joe said, this season. So, yeah, carry that through, win there, and get the impetus back again.
And Joe, we're keeping an unchanged team, all being well, or any changes?
I'd say so. Yeah, I don't.
At home against them.
Yeah. I can't see sort of having a thing. I can't see any changes I'd make. I think like Emir Hughes is obviously a good player, but seems to slow us down a little bit when you sort of see how more fluid we played with Downs and Nolan in there.
Yep. Well, it's going to be an interesting one. I think Ben will be back to host that one, and so I don't know who else is on, but we will be back to talk through that one and hopefully another victory. Let's do some plugs, gentlemen. Dave, I want to hear all about this week in ITFC history.
We did it. We recorded one. We recorded one this morning. Not sure quite when it's going to go out, but it's in the can as it was. So obviously there's no midweek game this week, so I assume it will go out at some point, maybe tomorrow or perhaps Tuesday. I'm not sure, but yeah, it was good. Some old school stuff, some relatively not that relative.
Was there a Man City 2-1 away win?
Sorry,
was there a Man City 2-1 away win in there? I think
there was a Man City.
I posted the goals if anyone wants to go.
There was a Man City. There was a Man City 2-1 away win. In the candy stripe kit.
Yep.
And there was
a few days before we beat Norwich 5-0. That was.
It was. It's all over it, and it was a last gasp 2-1. Sorry, that one. And a 2-1 win away at Fulham. 5 year. A Murphy brace, including a Murphy brace.
Oh, and a broken nose as well, I think.
And a broken nose.
And a booze cruise down the Thames.
And a booze cruise down the Thames, and 2 real old school corkers from the 70s, of course.
Lovely stuff. I was in corporate for that Fulham game, and I met Chris Kamara and Nigel Adkins, who at that point was unemployed, but I think was keeping his eye in. I spoke to Chris Kamara at half time and said, "What do you make of Murphy?" And he went, "Yeah, he's good, isn't he?" And that was it. He's like, I'm not talking to the Muggles. Don't talk to me. Don't talk to me.
I remember that day, absolutely hammered it down all day. It was a horrible day. I was saying a stat, whenever I've been to Fulham, it's either been like that or it's like late in the season, like April or something like that. It's blisteringly hot. There's not been one thing or the other, but always, enjoy going to Fulham.
I was hoping Kamara would say unbelievable, but I kind of set him up for it and he wasn't having it. Let's so you can find us on Twitter at Blue Monday ITFC. I'm sure you all know that stuff anyway, but I'll tell you nonetheless. And that's where all the details of where this week in ITF's history will be, where you can find that. You can find us on Instagram, Blue Monday Pod Team, all one word, and update your subscriptions on YouTube. Blue Monday Podcast ITFC, if you go looking for that, you'll find us and subscribe to that. Joe, where can we find you on the Twitter?
Just at Joe Fairs.
Any exciting academy stuff coming in this week? There was a defeat for the under 18s against QPR, wasn't there, midweek? Any Saturday? Any?
Yeah, they lost 3-2 yesterday. To be honest, I've been so busy, I haven't really kept abreast of what's going on.
Right in it.
Just the games, yeah. We lost 4-3 to Coventry one week, then we won 5-3 the week after, and then we've lost 3-2 Saturday. But we're at the stage of the season where most second years are either been told they're being released and are off. So it's a lot of schoolboys are playing there. There's a young Welsh international kid who's sort of playing up. He's an under 15 playing for the under 18s at the moment. Wow. He seems to be sort of made a couple of appearances off the bench, but it seems he's already signed a scholarship for not next year but the year after. So he's obviously doing well. But I say it's just more what I'm doing at the moment is trying to keep track of all the boys that are out on loan. We've got obviously Falami at Stevenage, and one to talk about Idris El Mazouni yesterday at Cambridge. Who they were 1-0 down with 10 minutes left. He came on,
sort
of worked the ball from a corner, ended up getting a cross in which got cleared back, and they scored. He then took the ball from the corner and hit it from 25 yards out like an Exocet missile, which hammered into the crossbar and bounced down, and then again worked another opportunity to play in a guy to cross and score again. So came on for 10 minutes, hit the bar, played a big part in 2 goals, and Cambridge sort of won their 4th win in a row. And he seems to be making a real big impact there just from the sort of minimal highlights you see of him. So one to watch.
Stuff. Yeah, good stuff. Dave, where can we find you on the old Twitter? Or...
At David Diamond 3.
Excellent stuff. You can find me at Ipswich. That's it. Thank you, gentlemen. Really enjoyed that as always.
One guys.
And who wants the final word? No need for a crap this week, do we? Or
none at all. None at all. No, I'm off. No final words. But I'm off to watch the golf, I think.
Very good.
4.